Response line at 41.
Well, we're thrilled to have the multiple mayhem mama Samantha Kemp Jackson here again to talk about some great tips for parents. Today we're going to be focusing on play dates. When we were kids, we just went to our friends' houses.
We did, Val, and it was pretty effortless, but things have changed. Recently in the news, there's been talk about people who are having parents sign playdate waivers in advance of setting up a playdate with kids. So it's gotten kind of crazy.
Why are they signing waivers?
Well, for the parents who are giving the waivers, I guess they feel that it's a way of getting around any type of liability, but really they're...
What's going to happen? You mean, so if my child gets a scrape at your child's house, I can sue you unless I sign this waiver that prevents me from suing you because my child got a scrape?
Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. I don't think that the playdate waivers, for the most part, are worth the paper that they're written on, but I think it talks about a bigger issue about us as parents and us thinking that we need to manage every aspect of our child's lives. Playdates are playdates.
But as you say, they are a fact of life today. We don't just open the door and say, go play anymore. So we do have to have a little more arranging involved. And there's kind of a stress around that, isn't it?
Because
life gets ahead of you and you realize, oh, I haven't called so-and-so to schedule a play date in ages, right? You feel the pressure of doing it.
There's a lot of pressure from not only the children, your children, but other parents as well. And I know that sometimes I get those calls saying, hey, let's have a play date, and I feel very stressed out. I think, oh, I have to clean my whole house. Oh, I have to pick up another child. Oh, what are we going to do? So I think that it's really important for parents to have a structure in terms of what they're going to do with play dates. So I kind of say to parents, you know, use the 5 W's of journalism: who, what, where, when, and why. So who is your child going to be playing with? Where are they going? Do you know the parents? What are they going to be doing? Is it okay for them to play video games at the play date? Is the child coming to your house? And if the child is coming to your house, is it okay with the other parents that they play video games? Are there any dietary restrictions?
That's a big one today, isn't it?
That's a big one. So not only allergies, there could be serious peanut allergies, so you have to make sure you ask the other parent. As well, there could be dietary, such as, you know, if a parent is vegetarian or vegan, you have to respect that as well. So there's a lot of things to think about.
Yeah, we often want to pull out the sweet treats just to satisfy the kids and keep them happy, if only for 20 minutes.
Yes.
And that may not be okay with the other parent. So we have to run all that past them too, right?
Yeah, and I say to parents, you know, make sure that you talk to the other parents first. Don't be afraid to say to the other parent, you know, if my child is going to be going to your house, I'd really like to come over and meet with you, and, you know, maybe not say, I want to see where you live, but that's basically what you're doing, because would you send your child into any other environment that you weren't completely comfortable? And vice versa. I welcome parents to come to my house if they want to have their children over playing with my kids. So,
do the parents stay and then chat over coffee, or what happens with the parents?
I think it's really important to give that option to parents. So oftentimes, just like with children's birthday parties, some parents might drop off their kids and leave, and that's okay. But I think it's also important to say to the parents, you're welcome to stay for the whole play date, so that their comfort level is adequate.
I made this mistake recently. Perhaps you know of what I speak. I said, oh sure, bring Sydney over.
Yes.
and the girls can play. And I'm going to get some work done, is what I was thinking in my head.
Nuh-uh.
It was awful. Every 5 minutes, Mrs. Cole, every 5 minutes it was something.
Yes.
And so I expected to have a break, and it wasn't that at all. So what should we expect when we're arranging a play date?
Well, you know, it is good to have a child over playing with your child, because they do occupy them a little bit more than if you were occupying them alone. That being said, we are still the parents, and we do need to be available for our kids when they're playing either with a child at our house or by themselves. So we are not completely off the hook.
No,
and even
we're not.
Even more so when we're looking after someone else's child. So I'm always a little bit hyper vigilant, because I know what my child will and will not do, but I don't know what another child will and will not do. So I make sure that I'm watching a little bit more closely what's going on.
Yes, and craft sessions should never go unsupervised.
Never, not when scissors are involved, no.
How many kids? So you invite the one friend over, maybe 2 would be better?
Well, you know, that's a whole other issue, because I have twins, and when they get a little bit bigger, that's going to be a whole topic.
1 friend each?
One friend, I don't know. But, you know, I actually like a one-on-one, so I like 2 kids, my one child and another child. When you get 3, you get that dynamic of inequality. One child is always left out, and the younger they are, the more unlikely they are to think about the feelings of the child that's left out. So I think 2 is fine.
Inevitably, fights happen.
Yes.
Because your child sees the other child pick up a toy that is their favorite, and suddenly it's not okay with them, or you know, who knows what they're fighting about or why. So what do we do when that happens?
So there have to be ground rules. So it's really important that you taught your child in advance before they go over to the play date and tell them what the rules are. To circumvent any problems about toys, if your child has a favorite toy, let them bring the favorite toy over to the play date, but also let them know, you know, you are going to someone else's house, and again, in terms of etiquette, let them play with your toy for a little bit because they are entertaining you. So it's a give and take. You're teaching your child about sharing, but you're also giving them that comfort of having that special toy.
Is this a good idea? I've said to my daughter, look, so-and-so is coming over, and anything you are not okay with her touching should be put away.
I think that's perfectly fine.
Everything else that's in full view is fair game, and you will not be allowed to complain.
I think that's perfectly fine. I think that that's a really good lesson for children to learn that, okay, what is really important to me, and do I want to share it? And if I don't want to share it, then I don't even want to have the scenario whereby I have to fight with this other child for my toy. So put it away.
Yeah. Yeah, because these kids come over to your house and all of your kids' toys are new to them.
They're new and they love it.
So they're interesting.
Yes.
And they want to touch everything.
Yes.
All right, we talked about food. We've talked about how many kids to have. You mentioned technology earlier about video games. What do you think about that? If the kids are just sitting on the couch with the remotes, is that a true play date?
It is and it isn't. I mean, we have to go with the times. So kids do play with technology, and I like tech, and kids like tech, and that's okay to a certain degree. So if it's okay with the other parents, I say yes for a little bit of the time. But, you know, there's nothing like old school, and, you know, the interaction with perhaps a game of Monopoly, a game of cards, old-fashioned playing outside in the backyard, obviously supervised. You know, I think that goes a long way to really building the interactivity and the skills between the children as opposed to something that's less perhaps interactive like a video game.
And I think as adults, we have to learn to step back a little bit and let them just create their own fun.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we can go overboard coming up with activities and things, and they're happy with your scarf collection or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Something
absolutely.
completely abstract.
Yeah, I mean,
they've got their own minds.
They've got their own imaginations. It's like, you know, the story of, you know, little kids, you give them all these toys, babies, and they go to the pots and pans, and they play with the pots and pans. Or you give them a cup to play with in the bathtub, and they're happy with that. So let the kids use their own imaginations, and they don't need that much support in terms of toys. They can make up their own games.
What if the kid gets homesick and wants to go, then what? Yours or theirs?
Well, you know, I do have a rule as well. I always tell the child, you can call your mother or your father anytime you want to call. If you want me to call, I can call. And if you want to go home, you can call your mother either to pick you up or I will take you home. And I always make sure that I tell the parent as well that it's an open book and the child is always free to go because I think that gives them a lot of comfort.
Yeah, I think you're right. If they know they can, then often
they don't feel stuck.
That's right.
Yes.
Good advice.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we'll survive our next play date. For more information, multiplemayhemmama.com. All those tips are there and so much more. And now here's one of our volunteers, Brendan, with your community events.